Geula?
Okay, Shabbat for Shalema.
So today we are on Daf Chofei Amid Beis, towards the bottom of the Yamid. Where are we over here? We are. I don't remember the name. I'm so sorry. So Shem tomorrow. Amen. Amen. Rav Achoy. It's 4 lines from the bottom of Daf Chofei Amid Beis. Rav Achoy I Asik Lei Lebrei. Rav Achoy was busy marrying off his son, Bei Rav Yitzchak Bar Shmuel Bar Marta, to the daughter of Rav Yitzchak, the son of Shmuel, the son of Marta. Ayle lechuppah. He escorted him into a private room. The chuppah over here is not the chuppah that we have today, but the chuppah is the private room where they're going to have marital relations. V'lo have a mistaya milsa. And he noticed that his son cannot have any relations with his wife. So Ozel Basreili Yuni. So he went into the room to inspect the room there, and Chaza, he saw Sefer Torah de Mancha. There's a Sefer Torah that's lying over there in the room. So Amalahu, he said to the people that prepared this room for the Chassan and the Kala, if I wouldn't have come here now to escort my son into this room, sakanton libri, you would put my son into a sakana to have marital relations in a room where there's a Sefer Torah lying there. The Tanya Gemara brings now Braise, the source of this halacha, that there may not be a Sefer Torah in the room. Chofei Amid Beis. Tanya. We learned in Abraise, Bayis sheyesh by Sefer Torah, a house that has a Sefer, or a room that has a Sefer Torah in it, oit tefillin or tefillin. Also, l'shamish bayis hamita, you may not have marital relations there. Ad sheyitziem or sheyenichem keli b'toich keli. If you don't first either take it out of the room, or you have to put it in a double covering, keli b'toich keli. And this applies not only to Sefer Torah and Tefillin, also to any Sfarim as well. Amar Abaye. Abaye now explained what this means, that you put it in a keli b'toich keli, a double covering. Lo yishanu ela b'keli she'ein kelyon. The fact that if you put it in a double keli, so then that covers it enough that you could have marital relations in that room. That's only if the first keli you put it in is not a keli that's designated for this sefer, for this tefillin. Aval bekeli shuhu kelyan. If you're putting it into a keli, which is the covering that it always is designated for it, afil asara mani kechad mani dami. So even if you have 10 coverings on the tefillin, it's all like one cover. So if you have the tefillin that's inside the bag of the tefillin, then on that there's the bag of the talis, and on that there's another plastic bag, and then you put it into another bag. If it's all designated for the tefillin, so then it's all considered to be one keli. You're going to have to still cover it with a second covering, which is not designated for the tefillin.
So what about Aron Kodesh?
Aron Kodesh is designated for it.
So
right? Well, Aron Kodesh is a different story. If Aron Kodesh is like an entire cabinet and a separate thing, and it's closed and doors inside a cabinet, it's almost like in a separate room. We'll see soon. 1 second. We'll see soon about putting up a big mechitza. Zak to Gemara. Omar Rava. Glime akamatra. If you have a bookcase in the room, and there are svarim on the bookcase, okay, and and they're exposed, but you throw a coat over it to cover it, so then that's kekeli b'toich keli dami. That's considered to be that it's in the bookcase, and then you throw a coat over it, which is not the usual covering for the bookcase, and therefore it's a keli b'toich keli. That's a good covering. Omer Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi said, Sefer Torah tzarech lases le'mechitza asara. A Sefer Torah that's in the room, and you want to have marital relations there, you have to cover it with a mechitza. You have to have a mechitza that's 10 tfachim high. This is a machlekes Rishonim how to learn pshat in this Gemara. Some Rishonim say that the pshat in this Gemara is that for a Sefer Torah, a double covering will not help. This is the only option. You have to have a mechitza of 10 tfachim high. But the Rambam and other Rishonim say no, that this is speaking about a case where a person doesn't have any covering to cover the Sefer Torah, so then this is another option. This is a second option to make a mechitza 10 tvachim high, but even for a Sefer Torah you could have a double covering. Marzutre ikla lebei Ravashi. Rav Marzutra was visiting and came to Rav Ashi. Chazi leduchte, the Mar bar Rav Ashi, so he saw the place where his son, Mar bar Rav Ashi, was living, and he was the room that he would live with his wife, the Monach Bei Sefer Torah, that it had a Sefer Torah in the room. And va'avad le'mechitza asara, and they built a partition 10 tefachim high. Amalei, so Marzutra says to Rav Ashi, Kaman, according to whom are you doing this? Rabbi Shua ben Levi. This is like Rabbi Shua ben Levi said, that you put a partition 10 tefachim high. So he says to him, Rabbi Shua ben Levi, when did Rabbi Shua ben Levi give this eitzah? The lesle beisa achrina, if you don't have another room. But mar ha'isle beisa achrina, you do have another room or another house where the place to Sefer Torah. So therefore, it's not something that you should be doing if you have an option of completely taking the Sefer Torah out of the room. Amalei, so Rav Ashi answered him, Lava datoi. You're right, I wasn't thinking about it, and you're right, he agreed to him. The Gemara goes back to the Mishnah that we had before, and the end of the Mishnah on Daf Chof Beis. So it said in the Mishnah, going back just for a short part over here, to the halacha of a person saying Kriya Shema in a clean environment. Kama yarchek mehenu min atzaya. If a person saying Kriya Shema, how far does he have to distance himself from the tzaya that's there on the ground? It's actually talking about davening the Mishnah. 4 amas it said, dalar amas. Amar Rav Schayra, Amar Rav Huna, lo yishanu ela la chayrav. The distance of 4 amas will be sufficient if the tzaya is behind him. Aval afanav, if it's in front of him and it's visible to him, marchik melo yainov. He has to be far enough that he can't see it anymore. V'chein l'tefillah, this is true about Kriya Shema, and this is true about davening. Eini, is this true? V'amar Rav from Bar Papa Amar Rav Chiste, oimid adam keneged beis hakisei u'mispalel. One may stand right opposite of beis hakisei, and it's obviously visible to him, and he can daven right there. So the Gemara answers, Hacha b'mayaskinim bebeis hakisei she'ein b'tzaya. It's a beis hakisei that has nothing there, it's empty, so therefore you can stand opposite the beis hakisei and daven. So the Gemara asks on this answer, whenever we speak about the Beis HaKisei being an issue, of being an environment and a place that's not pure and clean to daven there, it includes a Beis HaKisei that there's nothing there. Beis HaMerchatz, and the same is also true regarding Beis HaMerchatz, a bathhouse, even if there's no person that's exposed right now, presently in that Merchatz, nevertheless, you may not daven in a Beis HaMerchatz. Elo, so the question of the Gemara is, you can't answer that davening opposite Beis HaKisei is permitted in this case because there's no tzaya there. The Beis HaKisei itself is the uncleanliness. That itself is the issue. So how could you daven when it's visible to you standing right opposite the Beis HaKisei? So the Gemara answers, Elo hacha b'mayaskinam b'chadati. It's talking about a Beis HaKisei that has never been used. It's been designated, but has never been used yet. And therefore you can stand opposite the Beis HaKisei and daven. Fragt the Gemara, so the Gemara still is not satisfied. Ravina had the following question: if you have designated that place for a Beis HaKisei, what would be the din? Yesh zimun or ein zimun? Is the designation itself turn it into a Beis HaKisei, and therefore even if there's nothing there, it's like the tzaya and the meraglayim itself, and you may not daven in front of it or not, or inside of it or not. So we see over here that just designating it turns it into a Beis HaKisei. So how could we say that it's a chadati, it's a new Beis HaKisei? So the Gemara answers, Ki kami bayalei Ravina, the relevance of the question of Ravina regarding if it was designated as a Beis HaKisei is l'meika malel etzluya begavei. He wanted to clarify, are you allowed to daven within that space that was designated for a Beis HaKisei, when you're inside? For that he had a question. Avo kenegdoi, but what we're discussing here, when a person is opposite the Beis HaKisei, and it's in his vision, loy, that's certainly not an issue if it was designated, even if it was designated, but it was never used. So therefore, the conclusion is that if it's actual tzaya, so then if it's in front of you, you have to move far away that it's not in your eyesight. But it's to stand opposite of Beis HaKisei is allowed. Omar Rave said another thing regarding a Beis HaKisei. Hanu bati kisoi de parsoi. So the Beis HaKisei of the Persians. So Rashi explains over here that they created some kind of a incline in the ground that after the Beis HaKisei, people used the Beis HaKisei there, whatever was left rolled down and was automatically covered under the ground. So there was nothing that remained above ground. Afalgav the isbu tzaya, even though there's tzaya there, but kistumin damo, it's like covered because it rolls down in a place where it's not exposed and it gets covered. So therefore, in the bate kisa the parsoi, it's considered to be covered and it does not have the halacha like a regular beis hakisei. So from here, let me just conclude this entire sugya with the discussion regarding the bathrooms that we have today. Right, the bathrooms that we have today, l'chayre should be compared to the bate kisai, the parsoi, where it gets covered, and therefore it should be allowed to say divrei Torah in the bathroom. So there's 2 points. First of all, there are some poskim that say that it's not compared to bate kisai, the parsoi, because for the simple reason that many times the tzoya, whatever there is, gets into the bathroom on the floor or in other places, and it's not exactly like the mechanism that they had in the Persian bathrooms that it immediately got covered. Okay? So many times it doesn't always get covered properly, even after a person flushes the bathroom. So I believe the consensus of most poskim is that today's bathrooms do not have the heter of the Persian bathrooms. Besides that, many of the bathrooms are bathrooms, which are used as a beis hamerchetz as well. And in a beis hamerchetz, there's, like I just said before, there's the beis hakisei and beis hamerchatz. Even if there's nobody that's there using the merchatz right now and is undressed, you still may not say divrei Torah or daven inside the bathroom. All right, so therefore, b'poil, of course, you're not to say a bracha or to daven or to divrei Torah in the bathroom. And one second in a bathroom. But the shaila is when you get to using water to wash your hands in a bathroom. So if it's at all possible, one should not wash his hands after using the bathroom in the bathroom itself, because the bathroom itself has the halacha of a beis hamerchatz and of a beis hakisei, and therefore the water that you use there is not mitayr the person from using after using the bathroom. And to fill up, if you have a bathtub, that's what I'm speaking about. And to fill up negelwasser, if it's possible, not from the bathroom itself. And there's 2 things I want to just share from the Rebbe regarding this. First of all, that when the Rebbe came to visit the dormitory in the yeshiva and he noticed that they didn't have a sink outside the bathroom, the Rebbe was unhappy about that, and the Rebbe commented that they should have a sink outside the bathroom. And besides that, there's a letter from the Rebbe where the Rebbe writes an even bigger chumrah, that a person that just walks into the bathroom for any purpose, he has to get something from the bathroom, even if he's not actually using the bathroom. When you come out of the bathroom and you want to afterwards say divrei Torah, you should wash your hands, even if you didn't use the bathroom actually. Okay, that's a chumrah that the Rebbe writes in a letter that you should be try to be machmer on. But of course, in a shasat chak, when a person is on an airplane or you're in a place where there is no sink outside the bathroom, it's better to wash your hands in a sink in the bathroom than not to wash your hands at all. Because there is definitely, according to this Gemara, bate kisei, the parsoi, a room for a heter that today's bathrooms do not have the status of a beis hakisei the way it was then in the times of the Gemara.
I heard in the name for Moshe Feinstein that even to daven and you don't have a choice, you should rather go to the bathroom.
And daven inside a bathroom,
no,
b'diavad.
To wash your hands before davening.
B'diavad, I was speaking about that. Yeah, to daven, to be able to daven. I understand. Yeah.
So second floor, if there's only bedrooms, then rather to get negelwasser from downstairs. If there's only in the bedrooms, there's
correct,
no bathroom.
Correct. If you possible to fill up the negelwasser from a sink that's outside the bathroom, or if you're doing construction in your house and your building, try to make a little sink outside the bathroom. Okay, if it's possible, correct. Zok the Mishnah. I'd like to go weiter the Mishnah because we have to continue in the Inyanim here. Zok the Mishnah. Zov, Shara, Keri, Vinida, Shapolta, Shechvazera. So this is a Mishnah that we actually had quoted before. This is returning to the halacha, which is the takana of Ezra, not to say divrei Torah if you're a balkeri. So the Mishnah here discusses what happens if you have a prior tumah and you anyways have to wait 7 days to be toivel. Is there still a point to be toivel as a balkeri? So Zav Shara Keri, a Zav, this is a male that had an emission which is not like a balkeri, it's a different emission, and he has to wait 7 days to be toivel if he had that emission twice. But besides that, he also is a balkeri. And or another case, now talking about a female, v'nida shapoltach shichva zera. She's a nida and she has to wait 7 days to become tahir. But besides that, polta shichva zera, she expelled zera, which now makes her a balkeri. Or another case, v'har mishameshes, a woman that had marital relations, which makes her also a balkari, sheroasa nida, and after that, she became a nida and she has to wait 7 days. So as I pointed out when we learned this Mishnah earlier, that the halacha of a balkari, the takana of Ezra, applies equally to men and women. Tzrich and Tefillah, although they have a more stringent level of Tumah upon them, they still need Tefillah as a balkari to be able to say Divrei Torah. Rabbi Yehuda Paiter, and Rabbi Yehuda says that in this case, they don't need any Tefillah. The question was asked regarding the first case of the Mishnah. What did it say in the first case of the Mishnah? First, this individual was a Zav, and following that, he became a Balkari. The Gemara is going to ask, what's if the opposite happened? Balkari, he was first a Balkari, so he was obligated to be Taival, to be able to say Divrei Torah first. Sheraziva, and then he became a Zav. Li Rabbi Yehuda Mahu. According to Rabbi Yehuda, is what's going to be the din? Ki Poter Rabbi Yehuda Hasam. Will I say that when did Rabbi Yehuda say that the person that has a more stringent tumah upon him does not have to go to the mikveh b'zav shara keri? It's because first he was a zav and then he became a balkari. The meikar alav bar tfiluhu. From the first moment that he was a balkari, his tefillah will not take away the tumah because he has to wait 7 days. However, if he first was a balkari, and then the more stringent tumah came upon him of ziva, the meikar bar tfiluhu. So when he became a balkari, he had the obligation. He should have gone to the mikveh to be able to say divrei Torah. So mechayev. Maybe in this case, Rabbi Yehuda would agree that he's obligated to go to the mikveh. Oidilma, or perhaps Leishna. Rabbi Yehuda does not distinguish. In any case that currently there's a more stringent tumah upon you, you don't have to go to the mikveh to say divrei Torah. Tashema. So come and look at the Mishnah. You can see clearly from our Mishnah here to prove this. Hamishamesh as v'roasa nida. The Mishnah says the second case of a woman that first became a balkari because she had marital relations, and then she became a nida. Tzricha tefillah, needs tefillah. But Rabbi Yehuda Paiter and Rabbi Yehuda Pat is in that case. So the Gemara explains, if she first had marital relations and then became a nida, that's kabalkeri sheraziva. That would be similar to a male that first became a balkeri and then the more stringent tumah of ziva came upon him. Dami, it's compared to that. Vika potter Rabbi Yehuda. And Rabbi Yehuda says, even regarding that case, that you potter from going to the mikveh. So therefore, Shema Mina, we clearly see from here that according to Rabbi Yehuda, anytime you have a more stringent tumah upon you, it doesn't matter if you became a balkari first or later, you potter to go to the mikveh. Tani Rabchia Behedye, Rabchia learned this clearly in his Brachos. Balkari Shara Ziva, a balkari that was first a balkari, and then became a zav, tzarech tefillah, you need a mikveh. But Rabbi Yehuda paiter even in that case. Hadran Allah mi shemeiso. Zak the Mishnah. We begin a new Perek. Tfilas HaShachar. In this Mishnah, we're going to discuss the times for davening Shachris, and then Mincha, and then Ma'ariv, the Zmanim of Tfilah. Tfilas HaShachar. The time of davening Shachris is until when? At Chatzais. Until Chatzais, middle of the day. Right? Which is 12 o'clock. Or not exactly 12 o'clock. Of course, we don't go with the 12 hours, having 60 minutes in each hour, but we go with Shoiz Manias, which means it depends how many hours there are in the day. If there's 12 hours in the day, or 13 hours in the day, or 10 hours in the day, depends on the winter and the summer, and then you divide it equally into 12 parts, and then you divide it right in the middle of the day, Chatzais. That's when you can daven. Rabbi Yehuda argues and says, Ad Dalet Shois. You can daven only until 4 hours into the day. Tfilas ha-mincha, what's the time for davening mincha? Ado erev, until at night, until when it's shkia. Rabbi Yehuda again argues and has an earlier time, ad plaga mincha. You could only daven until plaga mincha. Plaga mincha is halfway between the time of mincha and nighttime, and seisa kechavim. The exact measurement of how we measure plaga mincha, because there's two minchas, there's mincha ketana, mincha gedayla, as we'll see in the Gemara, we'll see it soon in the Gemara. Tfilas ha'erev, when is it time for davening ma'ariv? Ein lo kva. You can daven the entire night. There's no timing in the night. V'shal musafim, similar musaf, kol hayom. You can daven musaf the entire day. Rabbi Yehuda argues and says, ad zayin shois. You could only daven musaf until 7 hours into the day. And the Gemara will explain this argument as well. Zok the Gemara v'raminu. I'll ask you a contradiction to the first halacha of the Mishnah that you can daven shachris until chatzais or until 4 hours in the day, because we learned mitzvasa imanetzachama. The mitzvah is to say Kriya Shema with the Netzachama, Kadesh Yismech Gula L'Tfilah, so you say the bracha of Gal Yisrael right before Shmei Nesreh, V'nimtza Mispal B'Yom, and then you daven right at the beginning of the day. So it says that's mitzvah. The mitzvah is to daven by the Netzachama when the sun comes up. So the Gemara answers, Ki Tanya Ahi L'Vasikin. That Braisa is telling you the Vasikin, all those that are Mahadar and mitzvahs, make an effort to daven by that time. The Vasikin finish davening Shmei Nesreh, or finish Kriya Shema, and then daven Shmei Nesreh at the time of Netzachama. But you could daven the Zman of Tefillah is even later. Frag the Gemara, v'kul alma at chatzais v'suloi, and everybody else that's davening at a later time is only until chatzais and not later than chatzais. V'ha'omer Rav Mori bereid Rav Huna bereid Rav Yirmiyah barabba omer Rav Yochanan tov lo yispal al arvis. If one made a mistake and did not daven ma'ariv, mispal b'shachris shtayim. So in the morning by shachris you can daven two Shmei Nesres, and one will be to make up for the Shmei Nesreh that you missed by ma'ariv. Shachris, if you forgot to daven Shachris, mispal b'mincha shtayim. So mincha you can make up and daven twice. So we see here that if you forgot to daven Shachris, you can daven a second Shmei Nesreh by mincha. So the Zman of Shachris can be fulfilled later as well. So the Gemara answers, Kula Yaime Matzli Vazel. You do have time the entire day to be mashlim, the Shmei Nesreh of Shachris that you missed. At Chatzos Yavi Le'Schar Tefillah, B'Zmano. But only if till Chatzos you get the schar of fulfilling the takon of Chazal to daven Tefillah in its right time. Mikam ve'elech past Chatzos, Schar Tefillah Yavi Le, he'll get schar for davening Shachris, but Schar Tefillah B'Zmano Lo Yavi Le. The schar of davening Tefillah in its right time he will not get. That's the difference. Now the question was asked, now that we're discussing the fact that a person can make up davening that he missed, the Gemara is going to ask a shayla regarding this halacha. If one made a mistake and forgot to daven mincha, could he daven twice ma'ariv? That wasn't mentioned before in the Braisa. And what's the basis of this question? Even if you say that if you forgot to daven ma'ariv, so then the next morning shachris you could daven two Shmei Nesres. Over there I can say the reason is mishum dechad yoimehu. The ma'ariv and the next day shachris is all the same day. The morning follows the night; it's the same day. However, if you forgot mincha and now it's ma'ariv, tefillah b'makim karbani, the tefillahs that we daven are replacing the karbanis. V'kiven da'avar yoymei batal karbanai. So I should use the same logic regarding karbanis. If you missed the day for the carbon, so that if you didn't bring a carbon tamid one day, there's no such a thing as making up two karbanis tamid the next day. So the next day you can't make it up. Or perhaps we could say, although it's takeh b'makim karbanis, but kivin the tzloisa rachmihi, davening has another element to it. We're davening to Hashem, begging Hashem for mercy. Koleim is the boy matzli vazel. Whenever a person wants, he can daven. So of course the Gemara doesn't mean with that line specifically, literally, that a person can just daven whenever he wants and ignore the Zman Tefillah altogether. But we use this svara Lagabe being mashlim from mincha to ma'ariv, that although it's the next day and by karbonis that doesn't work, but for davening you could be mashlim in the next tefillah even though it's already at night. Hashama, so the Gemara comes and says, here, this is the raya. Damar Rav Huna by Yehuda, Damar Rav Yitzchak, Damar Rav Yochanan, he clearly said, Tov lo yispal mincha, if you didn't daven mincha, mispal arvis beis, you can daven arvis tu Shmei Nesres, ve'ein bezeh mishum davar yemi batal karbane. And we don't apply the rule that is by karbanis, that once the day is over, you can't bring the carbon anymore. Meisvei. This is the halacha. This is the halacha.
And ma'ariv also you
yes.
them the next morning?
Yes, that's for sure. But the chiddush is even mincha to the next. Yes, of course you mash them, but I brought it before. Meisvei. One second. I want to just see the question of the Gemara on this. Meisvei. The question was asked. Mu'uvis lo yuchal liskain. Something which is crooked that cannot be corrected. V'chesarin lo yuchal lihimanes. Something that was missed that cannot be counted. What's the pshat of this pasuk? Mu'uvas la yuchal liskain, something that's crooked that can't be corrected. Zeshabitul kriya shema shel arves v'kriya shema shel shachris. This is one that did not say kriya shema at night or did not say kriya shema in the morning. Oi, and the Brais also says tefillah shel arves or tefillah shel shachris. If you missed davening shachris or you missed davening ma'ariv, you cannot correct that. And then it says, what is it that can't be counted? If all of your friends are being counted and joining and doing a mitzvah, and you're not counted along with them, you exclude yourself. So even if you're going to complete and do the mitzvah later, but if you're not doing it together with them, it can't be corrected. So we see here clearly in the Brachos that if you missed Shachris or you missed Ma'ariv, it can't be corrected. So how do we say that you can be Mashlim and Daven Tushmin Esres? This Brachos is speaking about a person that b'mezid intentionally skipped Shachris, skipped Mincha. Then you can't be Mashlim. Ravashi says, Deikenami, it's clear in the wording of the Braisa, Diktani Bittel. It says that he was Mavatalit, which means he intentionally didn't daven. Veloikatani Ta, it didn't use the expression that we said before, which is Ta, that a person made a mistake. Shmami no, this is a raya, that this is a distinction between Bittel and Ta. So this is actually the halacha l'maaseh. If a person that missed Shachris or Mincha or Ma'ariv, you could always be mashlim the next tefillah unless it was b'mezid. And b'mezid only means mamish b'mezid. If a person knows he has to daven right now and he b'mezid doesn't daven. But if a person has in mind, I'm going to daven, and then he's negligent, pshia does not fall under the category of mezid over here. A person should have davened before he tended to his business, but he tended to his business first, and then he forgot to daven. That's not beged the mezid. Mezid mamish has to be mezid.
Is that just Shemayin Esrei?
This is all talking about Shemayin Esrei. It's all talking about Shemayin Esrei, not about anything else. Oh, so that's a big question regarding Yalav V'Yavai, and Tosfos talks about it. Let's see the Hemshech of the Gemara, and then I'll come to Yalav V'Yavai, because the Gemara is going to discuss something related to that. What's if one forgot to daven Mincha on Erev Shabbos? Mispalo b'leil Shabbos shtayim. So then at night on Shabbos you can daven 2 Shemayin Esres. So of course, what's the chiddush here? When you daven Shemayin Esrei on Shabbos twice, so you're not davening the same Shemayin Esrei that you forgot. You forgot a weekday Shemayin Esrei and you're davening now Shabbos Shemayin Esrei twice. But you can be mashlim with a Shabbos Shemayin Esrei. Tov alei spal mincha b'Shabbos. If you didn't daven on Shabbos mincha, mispal b'matzah Shabbos shtayim shel chayil. You can daven matzah Shabbos 2 weekday Shemayin Esrei. And what do you do now? Mavdul b'Rishayna. So whenever you're mashlim a Shemayin Esrei, the first Shemayin Esrei is for the tefillah that you're currently davening at this time. The second Shemayin Esrei is the makeup for the previous tefillah. So therefore, Mavdul B'Rishayna, you say Atachain Antonu, the Havdalah in the first Shemayin Esrei, Ve'ena Mavdul B'Shni. And you don't say the Havdalah in the second Shemayin Esrei, which is a makeup for Shabbos. Now, Ve'im Hivdul B'Shniya. The Brachos says, what's if you did the opposite? You said the Havdalah in the second Shemayin Esrei, V'loi Hivdul B'Rishayna, and you did not say the Havdalah in the first Shemayin Esrei. Shniya also loi, Rishayna loi also loi. The second Shemayin Esrei will be counted for Ma'ariv, and the first one will not be counted. So what that means is, when he was davening the first Shemayin Esrei, this is the way Rashi explains it. When he davened the first Shemayin Esrei, we assumed that his kavanah was to daven Ma'ariv, and he forgot to say Atachain Antanu. So therefore, that's not counted for Ma'ariv because he missed Atachain Antanu. Then, when he davens the second Shemayin Esrei, he realized he forgot Atachain Antanu in the first one, so he davens the second Shemayin Esrei for Ma'ariv, and he says Atachain Antanu, so that's Ma'ariv. So if he still wants to make up the Shemayin Esrei of Mincha, he's going to have to daven a third Shemayin Esrei. That's what the Gemara means over here. The Gemara questions this, Lememre, should we say based on this, the Kivin delay Avdul bekamaisa, that if you miss Atachain Antonu kamandalei tzolidami, it's as if you didn't daven, and you have to daven again. That's what it comes out of here. It says loy also if you miss Atachain Antonu, you have to daven Shemayin Esrei again. Raminu, the question is asked from a Braisa. So it says there, if one forgot to say Mashav Ruach HaMeirad HaGeshem, B'tchiyas HaMeisim, in the bracha of Tchiyas HaMeisim, B'shayla B'berchas HaShanim, or you forgot to say V'sein Talamotar, in the bracha of Baruch Aleinu, Machzirin Oisa, you have to daven Shemayin Esrei again. But then the Brachos says, Havdalah B'chaynin Adas, if you forgot to daven Havdalah and Chaynin Adas, Ein Machzirin Oisa, he doesn't have to daven again. Mipnei Sheyachal Oimra Ala Kais, because you could say the Havdalah on the Kais. So you see that you don't have to go back. Kashya, this remains a question. The Gemara does not answer this question, even though the Gemara does not say Tiyufta. Tiyufta would mean a much stronger. The Gemara only says Kashya, which means we're not completely refuting what it said before, but nevertheless, the halacha remains, as we know, that if you forget Atachain Antanu, you do not have to daven over again. Now, let me just say regarding Yalav V'Yavi, which is something that Taisus discusses here by Arichis, what happens if you daven Shemay Nesra on, let's say, Mincha and Rosh Chodesh, and you forgot to say Yalav V'Yavi, which the halacha is that you do have to daven over again, but then you didn't daven over again, and then it comes by night, and now you want to know, should I daven 2 Shemay Nesras at night to make up for the Shemay Nesra before where I didn't say Yalav V'Yavi? So Taisus brings an argument about this. Taisus says, first, one opinion, there's no point in davening 2 Shemay Nesras at night. Since the first Shemay Nesra that you're trying to make up is because of the lack of the Yalav V'Yavai, and now at night you won't say Yalav V'Yavai, there's no point in davening again if there's no Yalav V'Yavai in your Shemay Nesra. But then there's another opinion, the Chachmei Provincia, the Chachamim of the city Provincia, whatever that is, in Italy somewhere, I believe. Where in France it is? Okay, thank you. And they said, no, you have to, if you missed it by Yalav V'Yavai, by Shemay Nesra, you do have to daven over again, because if you didn't say Yalav V'Yavai, the whole Shemay Nesra is as if you didn't daven it at all. Only so even though at night, what's the halacha l'maisa? I'm not 100% sure. I believe the halacha l'maisa is that we don't daven over again, but they hold that you do it, you would have to daven over again, even by a case of Yalav V'Yavai. So then you're going to be saying Yalav V'Yavai, so this question doesn't apply.
I think that the storm in the market, you have to say it again, maybe it's the Aram says it, because the reason you didn't say Atachan Thomas comes to bring out that you didn't have married for much.
Okay. Sagt die Gemara weiter, Itmer Rabbi Yossi Rab Chanina Omar. Rabbi Yossi said in the name of Rab Chanina, Tefillah is always tikna. Who was masaking the tefillahs that we daven today? Shachris, Mincha, and Ma'ariv. The Ovis were masaking them. So there is tefillah min ha-Torah, but the fact that we daven 3 times a day, the Ovis were masaking these tefillahs. If Shua ben Levi Yomar, tefillahs keneged tmidim tiknum. The davening is keneged, the karban is tamid. Tanya kavasa de Rabbi Yosef Rab Chanina, v'Tanya kavasa de Rabbi Shua ben Levi. We have a brayso to support both opinions. Tanya kavasa de Rabbi Yosef Rab Chanina, Avram tikkun tefillas shachris. Shenema vayashkem Avram baboiker, el amokem asher omat sham. He came to the place and he stood there. Ve'en amida el tefillah. The expression of amida, as we had already earlier in the Gemara, refers to standing to daven to Hashem. How do we know this? Shenema vayamoit Pinchas vayafalo. Pinchas stood and davened. Yitzchak tikkun tefillas mincha, shenem vayetzi Yitzchak lesuach pasodeh lefnoi sarev. Yitzchak went out in the field to have a conversation, and it was before night. Ve'in sicha al tefillah, sicha means davening, shenema tefillah la'ani ki yatev lefnei Hashem yishpech sichai, he pours out his heart in conversation with Hashem. So Yitzchak went and davened mincha. Yaakov tikkun tefillas arvis, Yaakov was misaken the tefillah of Ma'ariv, shenema vayivka b'makom vayolan sham. He came to that place and he went to sleep there. But ve'ein pigia el tefillah, pigia means that he davened there before he went to sleep. Shenema va'ato al tispalel ba'adam, do not daven on behalf of the nation, hazeh, this nation. Va'al tisa ba'adam rino tefillah, do not raise your voice in singing and in davening. Va'al tifka bi, and do not beg by me. So we see that tifka, pigia, means davening. So these are the 3 sources where we see that the Av is davened. It's interesting, there are many different sources in Chumash that the Av is davened. These are not the only incidents where the Av is davened. But the Gemara is specifically bringing these sources for davening of Shachris, Mincha, and Ma'ariv. And the Rebbe Nasicha points out that there's 2 types of tefillahs. There's the tefillah min ha-Torah, where a person is mechuyev to daven because he has a tzorech that he has to daven. When a person davens outside of the 3 tefillahs, it could even be that then he's doing the mitzvah min ha-Torah. Here we're talking about the takanas chazal to daven Shachris, Mincha, and Ma'ariv when there isn't a tzorech. But there's a takana to daven 3 times a day. Why is the takana to daven 3 times a day without a tzorech? This is connected to the Gemara we had before. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai said, "V'lovai sheyispal lodin kol hayom kuloi." A person would daven the entire day. And the point is that tefillah is not just about bakoshes tzrachov, but it's connecting to the Eibishter. 3 times a day, a person should remove himself from his own personal things and elevate himself and daven. That's the point of the davening 3 times a day. And specifically, these 3 time periods here, the Avos didn't daven for anything specific. It doesn't say in the Psukim there that they were in need that they davened for. It was just stam to daven to Hashem. Sagt the Gemara weiter, V'tanya kavasa de Rabbi Shua ben Levi. We also learned a brayso that backs up the opinion of Rabbi Shua ben Levi that it's keneged the karbanis. V'pnei ma omru tfilas hashachar at chatzais. What's the time for the reason that shachris is only until chatzais? Share tomid shal shachar karavay lachat chatzais. The carbon tomid could be brought until chatzais. But Rabbi Yehuda merad arba shoyis. Rabbi Yehuda says you could daven only until 4 hours in the day. Because his opinion is that the carbon of the Talmud could only be brought until 4 hours in the day. The Brachos says the same thing regarding the mincha. Why is it that you could daven mincha until nighttime, till Tzeisak Echavim? The Talmud Shal Ben Arbaim could also be brought until night. You could only be brought. You could only daven until plaga mincha. That is shaharei Talmud Shal Ben Arbaim karav ha'ilach at plaga mincha, because the Talmud Shal Ben Arbaim could only be brought until plaga mincha. Then the same with Ma'ariv. Why is it that Ma'ariv you can daven the entire night? The Evarim and the Pedarim, the limbs of the animal that is being brought in the Mizbeach to be consumed in the fire on the Mizbeach, that have not been consumed before night, you can be makriv them the entire night. And why is the carbon musaf could be davened the entire day? Share carbon shal musaf karev kol hayom. You could be makriv the carbon musaf on a Shabbos, on a Rosh Chodesh, on a Yom Tov the entire day. Rabbi Yehuda says at Sheva Shois you could only daven musaf until 7 hours into the day, which is 1 hour after Chatzos. Share carbon musaf karev ha'ilach at Sheva Shois, because his opinion is that you could bring the carbon musaf only until 7 hours of the day. So we see very clearly that the timing of the tefillas are lined up to the timing of the karbanis, because it's connected the karbanis. So now here the Brachos that mentioned plaga mincha will explain what plaga mincha is. Ve'ezuhi mincha gedayla. What is mincha gedayla? So first the Brachos explains the time of mincha itself. Mincha gedayla is mishesh shois umechza ulamayla. From 6.5 hours into the day, a half hour after Chatzos is the time of Mincha Gedayla. Veizui Mincha Ketana. What is the time of Mincha Ketana? Miteisha Shois Umechza Lamayla. 9.5 hours into the day. Okay? 2.5 hours before nighttime. Ulamayla. From that time is the time of Mincha Ketana. Now the reason for these two times, what's the connection of these two times, Mincha Gedayla and Mincha Ketana? It's also connected to the Karbanis. Right, as Rashi over says, because in the Beis HaMikdash, the earliest time to bring the carbon tamid was a half hour after Chatzos, because it has to be Bein Arbaim when the sun is already going towards night. So, L'mashal Erev Pesach, when they had to bring the carbon Pesach after the carbon tamid, they would be makriv the carbon tamid as early as possible, which was 6.5 hours into the day, and they have enough time to bring all the karbanis Pesach for the Yidden. On a regular day, though, they would bring the carbon tamid. The hakrava would start at 8.5 hours into the day, and they would complete at 9.5 hours into the day. So therefore, that's what's called mincha ketana. The Gemara continues now. Yibayeluhu Rabbi Yehuda. So now we come to plaga mincha. Plag mincha kama kamar. So the word plag mincha means that whenever the time of mincha is, from the time of mincha till nighttime, right in the middle is plaga mincha. But now the question is, in the middle, between which mincha and nighttime? Is it between mincha kama kama? Does it refer to mincha ketana? So you go from 6.5 hours into the day until at night. So you still have 5.5 hours into the day. So you take that 5.5 hours and you divide it in half. That's the time of plaga mincha. Or plag mincha achreina kamar. Or you take the second shear, which is mincha ketana, which is 2.5 hours before the end of the day, and you divide that in half, and you have 1.25 hours before the end of the day, and that's the time of plaga mincha. Toshim. So the Gemara brings a proof for this, a clear statement. The Tanya and Abraisa, Rabbi Yehuda Oime, Plag HaMincha Achreina Amru. The time of Plag HaMincha is to divide the time between the second time of Mincha and night. Vihi Yud Aleph Shois Chaser Revia. That is at the beginning of the 11th hour in the day, minus another 1/4 hour, so it's 1.25 hours before nighttime, and this is how we paskin. This is what Plag HaMincha is. Okay. Now the Gemara gets back to what we said before. There was an argument over here. What are the tefillas? Were the Avos Masak in the tefillas? Or are the tefillas Keneged the Karbanis? So the Gemara asks, name it to have it to Yufta the Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina. The fact that we say that the timing of davening is so rigid based on the timing of the Karbanis, should we say that refutes the opinion of Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina that says that it was connected to the Avos? So the Gemara answers, no, it's not. Amalach Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina. Rabbi Yossi Chanina answers, La'olam ein malach tfilis avos tiknam. Really, the avos are the ones that were masakin the tfilis. V'as mechinu rabbanon akarbanis. The rabbanon came and were saimich these zmanim of tfilis on the karbanis. The actual tfilis, the fact that we daven 3 tfilis comes from the avos. But the timing and the chiyuv that chachamim were masakin, they connected it to the karbanis. But they're both true. If you're not going to say so, tfilas musaf l'Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina man tikna. Musaf, none of the avos were masakin. Why do we daven musaf today? Ela tfilis avos tiknum. So therefore, we must conclude that even if it's true, Rabbi Yossi bar Chanina says that the tfilis began from the time of the avos, but vas mechinu rabbanon akarbanis. Then the rabbanon came and were saimich these tfilis on the karbanis. So the conclusion of the Gemara over here basically is that it's both true. The tefillas come from the avos, right? So be'emes, based on the sikha that I said before, you have 2 different things in the tefillas. When a person davens, there is the inyan of bakashas tzrachov, that he's davening to Hashem for the needs that he has. He's connecting to the Eibishter and davening to the Eibishter for the needs that he has. And then there's the inyan of tefillah. Just the inyan of tefillah itself. 3 times a day, a person separates from what he's doing and turns to Hashem. The Avos taught us that the schedule of a day of a Yid, he should turn to Hashem 3 times a day. But then the Chachamim came and established that a person should have a designated time where he davens to Hashem and asks for his needs, and those are based on the karbanis. So both of them are true. Okay. I didn't hear clearly the word that you were saying.